Hey everyone, my name is Morgan Olson, and today I will be doing an adaptation of Michael Haig's Thumbelina, so I hope you enjoy. There once was a lonely woman who longed for a child. She asked the witch from the village, who was known for solving problems such as this, if she would give her the blessing of a child. The witch said she would, and she handed the woman a tiny seed. "But how?" began the woman. "Trust me," said the witch. "Take the seed, plant it in the garden by your house, and just give it love and it'll do what you need." The woman did as she was told, and quickly the seed grew into a tiny green stalk that blossomed into a bud. As the petals opened one day, she realized nestled inside was a tiny baby girl. She took the girl in her hand and realized she was no bigger than her thumb, so she gave her the name of Thumbelina. As Thumbelina grew older, she would never grow bigger than her mother's thumb. One day, Thumbelina was asleep in a walnut shell, and scampering by was a toad, and the toad looked upon her and said, "My goodness, she would make a perfect wife for my son." So he scooped her up, walnut shell and all, and took her down to the river. When Thumbelina awoke, she realized she was far away from home, and nearby was this toad. And the toad looked at her and said, "Welcome. You are going to be the most wonderful wife for my young son once he gets here." And she looked at him and said, "His wife?" And she said, "I can't do that." So she ran away to the river, and nearby there was a couple pair of fish. And the fish had heard her cries and had carried a lily pad over for her to carry her across the river. Once upon dry land, she thanked the fish for their help, and she went and found a cornfield to stay in, and she made herself a bed out of the grass, drank dew from the leaves, and she came to the conclusion that she would be content living in this cornfield for the rest of her life. She had plenty of food and all things good. Soon after, as the fall was coming to a close, she realized that winter was coming, and she would not be able to stay in this place when her nice warm bed was covered in snow. So she started wandering, and she tripped and fell one day into this tunnel. Inside the tunnel, she met the acquaintance of a mouse and his wife, who welcomed her with open arms into their home and took care of her and let her stay with them during this cold winter. So they soon introduced her to their good friend the mole, and the mole was the king of these tunnels. He was rich and powerful and was a really good friend of the mouse and his wife, so she wanted to make a really good impression. So she was always kind to him and did all that she could to be a good friend to him. One day the mole took her on a tour of his tunnels, and at the end of one of his tunnels, she found a very stiff, cold sparrow. And the mole looked at her and said, "Shame on him for thinking that he could come into my tunnels and it would all be okay." Thumbelina could not believe the cruelty in the mole's voice. So later that night she came and brought a quilt to lay over the sparrow. And she realized that he had a heartbeat. He wasn't just cold, or he wasn't dead, he was just cold. So he opened his eyes and thanked her so much for saving him. They soon became close friends and spent a lot of time together. But one day, the mole mentioned to Thumbelina that he wanted to marry her, that he wanted her to be his wife. She told the mouse and his wife that she couldn't marry the mole. She liked the sun and the sky and flowers, and she would not get that in these dark tunnels. They looked at him, "Well, why ever not would you not want to marry him? He's powerful, he's kind, he's rich, he would make a wonderful husband." She told the sparrow of her concerns, and he said, "Fly away with me, my wings are strong, my wings are healed, and I can take you away from this place." So she climbed aboard his back, waved goodbye to her friends the mice, and the sparrow took her to this garden of flowers. He told her his tree that he lived in was nearby so they could visit whenever they wanted. So she looked around these flowers and found one just her size and thought to herself, "How long has it been since I have slept in a flower?" She opened the petals and nestled inside. She found a little boy just her size. He looked up at her and she noticed a crown of flowers around his head. And he told her he was the king of all the tiny people. And one by one, all around her, the flowers began to open. And she realized that she was surrounded by tiny people just her size. As a gift to welcome her to his kingdom, the king gave her a pair of wings, and the wings would let her fly to visit her friend the sparrow. and she realized that she had finally found a home. Thank you for listening. I hope you enjoyed my video and my story of Thumbelina.